You're listening to Independent TV 7 in Adamawa, and Peter Obi took space in the east. Ashiwaju lost in his base. This is coming from Fayose. Fayose. Former Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose said that Atiku Abubakar won with landslide in Adamawa State. Peter Obi took the space in the east, but Ashiwaju Bola Ahmed TINUBU lost in his base. Fayose made the statement in an interview with the China's television during the program when Seun Okimba-Loye asked him to react to a portion of the European Union, which is the EU report, that says the last election was not as transparent as the INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission, promised it will be. Ayodele Fayose responded that when the election was not transparent equitably, it affects everybody. In Adamawa, Atiku Abubakar won with landslide. Peter Obi and Ashiwaju did not do well in the east. Peter Obi took the space completely. In Enugu or Abia, Ashiwaju got 4,000. PDP did slightly better. They all maximized their domain. But don't let us come here and telling stories. All these EU report, I will not say is not good. To let them keep writing. Our peculiarity is our peculiarity. Ashiwaju in his case lost in his base. So can Ashiwaju not equally manipulate in his base and make the figures? And let us go beyond that. Kwankwaso won in his shows Ashiwaju becomes a play. In terms of manipulation, I don't think so. Well, in then asked that did EU not accuse any of the aspirants? Well, that's a question to be asked because European Union, or let me say the international organization, because Nigeria has a bilateral relationship with these organizations, and they are all registered under ECOWAS as well, and that's why Nigeria has a bilateral relationship between the European Union or among those entity, because United Nations is also a body, or rather Nigeria is a body of these developed country in their international under their international law, because we trade with them. There is trade by barter. I'm explaining this for those that do not understand why European Union would just come, because they want a good result, and they want a good governance. It's high time in this country called Nigeria we need to be open-mindedness, because the government is not for only adults or leaders or people that call themselves politicians or thereabout. Yeah, it's the choice of earth. If you venture into politics, does not mean you're going to do better in the area of the government. You might be doing better in politics, does not mean government is entirely different. But the idea of politics that they have, which is what they use among public administration and other courses or other leadership traits you should have, is what we do not get in here. Politics is not dicey. Politics is policy. You go to school or you learn about politics either on the street or in the school, either being a political scientist or thereabout. Now it ventures into policy making, system making. This is what we do in our town or community, or this is our tradition. Is different from governance. This is what the standard needs to be, because the government of the people, for the people, and by the people is what democracy said or says. Now, area of going through, the God factor will now say that now love your neighbor as though yourself. Where two or more are gathered, there he is in his name. Because I start to more, they are more and all that. So if we are loving, or we are accommodating as a country, it shouldn't be a sector or one community that will gain this. No. The policy is policy. Right thing is the right thing. They said justice for one is justice for all. I don't know why I'm saying this, but that is the basis. Because whether somebody did well in the right regime or in the wrong regime or last regime or durable, does not mean you cannot do better. You understand? Because all do as same as that same person. But if there is a policy on ground, you don't need to say, okay, this person use a strategy for positivity. He ended that way. We should still follow that policy. It shouldn't be that it is a national cake. We don't come, we don't arrive. Let us have our own take on it. No. Policy making is policy making because it will make you sick when you don't follow the due process. This ones some persons are saying Buhari just put in deaf ears not to listen to the release of Sunday Igboho or Nnamdi Kanu, because his area of specialization is the rigid path. He believes okay, civilians are different from soldiers. This is not barracks because you can train a soldier and pay them salary, but civilians are not trained. You can't pay them salary. And where do they get that salary from? From the public funds. That is where they get it from. Now, if the public are not doing so very well, there are inflations, VAT all over. That means Nnamdi Kanu, Sunday go. TINUBU shouldn't be the problem. Rigging shouldn't be a problem for us. Rigging shouldn't be a problem. Now, if the former Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose is saying that Atiku Abubakar won with landslide in Adamawa State, Peter Obi took the space in the east, but Asiwaju lost in his base. Cool, fine. Now the basis is that we're talking about the rigging or the accusation, or there's a defendant and there's a plaintiff, there's an appeal of court or Supreme Court or thereabout. If there is like they say the EU, there's an international body, then they should go by their judgment so that it won't be as if sentimental as it is, but because we still allow them to come. They invited them, or rather needed to come, because Nigeria is in a whole lot of mess. Nigeria is owing big time in that area of specialization. I know that part. Nigeria is owing about 6 countries, even more than. For instance, for example, we are in EG, not even for example, yeah, EG, because they are much. Nigeria is owing, the China, Brazil, Netherlands, France, United States. Bro, if you Venezuela, Australia, see, there are some debt we are owing. We may not know at the bottom level, but they know. Those that call themselves in Nigeria, we are just the citizen of the country. We are not the Nigeria. We are Nigerian, because I believe every Nigeria is marginalized. It's not only the Igbos, not only the Fulani, not only in one entity called the Hausas. No, not even the Yorubas. Nigeria itself is a failed state as it is, because the so-called leaders have not really done the needful. They've not done the needful. Hausa, Yoruba, Igbos, like what Joe Biden said. Say the solution to the problem of insurgency in North or in Nigeria or thereabout is not a kinetic approach. He said it's an internal problem. To resolve the conflict, and there must be a solution or resolution, there must be unity. In-house needs to come together. The Igbos, the Hausas, and the Yorubas should come together and talk what the problem is. So until we love ourselves as though ourselves, love your neighbor as yourself, you understand? But the two should be on an equilibrium. Well, may God help us.